Welcome back to the Science Experience, where we explore the most exciting new research papers and preprints just for you. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps support the Science Experience.
It truly does. And here on the Science Experience, we're doing a deep dive today into a really fascinating paper. Just came out in Nature Neuroscience.
Oh, Nature Neuroscience. Okay, so high-impact stuff.
Exactly. And our source material today tackled something, well, pretty fundamental.
Right.
Sleep.
Always important.
And specifically, how sleep problems connect to tau pathology. You know, that's a major player in diseases like Alzheimer.
Tau tangles, yeah. Nasty stuff.
And it introduces this drug, Lemborexant, which might actually do more than just, help with insomnia.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. We all know sleep is essential. And, it's super common for people with neurodegenerative conditions to have sleep issues.
Absolutely.
But the core question, the one this research really dives into, it's crucial. Are these sleep problems just a symptom? The disease getting worse?
Or are they actually feeding the problem? Contributing to the damage.
Exactly. And if that's the case, can we actually treat the underlying disease by targeting sleep? That's the big hope.
That's the million-dollar question. And this paper, our source, really confirms this tight link. It's not just that sleep loss is associated with higher risk of AD and these tauopathies.
More direct.
It seems like a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So tau pathology itself can build up in the brain areas that control our sleep-wake cycles. That messes up sleep.
Ah, okay, so the disease process itself disrupts sleep.
Right, but then the sleep disruption can actually increase tau levels even more. It pushes the pathology forward.
Wow, okay, so they definitely feed off each other. Nasty cycle. Now, the drug they looked at is Lemborexant. We hear about new treatments here on the Science Experience, and this one's already used clinically, right, for insomnia?
That's correct. Lemborexant is what's called a dual orexin receptor antagonist, a DORA.
Orexin. Remind us.
Orexins are basically signaling molecules, neurotransmitters in the brain that promote wakefulness. They keep you alert.
So blocking their receptors helps you sleep. Makes sense.
Exactly. It helps dial down that awake signal.
Okay, so here's where this study, the one we're exploring today on the Science Experience, gets really compelling. They used a mouse model.
Yep, a specific one engineered to develop tau pathology, sort of mimicking what happens in human disease. P301 SE4 mice. For those keeping track.
And they didn't just give them Lemborexant, they compared it.
Right. They compared its effects to another very common sleep medication, zolpidem, like Ambien.
Okay, good comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? Did they sleep better?
Well, yes. Both drugs did increase sleep time in these mice, specifically the non-REM sleep stage.
Okay. Both work for sleep itself.
But the source paper notes that Lemborexant's effects seem to sustain sleep better over the full 24-hour cycle compared to zolpidem.
Interesting difference, but maybe not the main story.
Not the main story, no, because the truly significant finding, like the headline result from this deep dive, is that even though both drugs help the mice sleep more, only Lemborexant actually provided neuroprotection.
Whoa, okay. Define neuroprotection here.
It actually prevented brain atrophy that's, shrinkage in key areas that get hit hard by tau, like the hippocampus and cortex, and it reduced chemical markers of neuron damage. Zolpidem didn't do that.
So wait. More sleep from zolpidem didn't protect the brain.
Apparently not. That's the pivotal insight here. The benefit wasn't just from getting more sleep. It seems specifically tied to Lemborexant's mechanism blocking that orexin system.
That is a huge difference. It's not the sleep duration per se, but how you get the sleep or what else that drug mechanism is doing.
Precisely.
And there was a nuance, right? Something important for our community here at the Science Experience to know.
Yes, a critical nuance. This protective effect, the brain-saving effect, was observed only in the male mice in this specific study, not in the females.
Wow. Okay, that's complicated and really important. Needs follow-up.
Absolutely. A major point for future research. Sex differences in drug effects are critical.
So any ideas how Lemborexant might be doing this protective work, specifically in the males in this model?
The paper digs into that. It seems to work on several levels. First, it reduced harmful inflammation caused by microglia. Those are the brain's resident immune cells. Sometimes they go haywire in neurodegeneration.
Right. Less inflammation is good.
Definitely. It also helped preserve synapses, those vital connections between neurons that are essential for memory and thinking and are often lost early in Alzheimer's.
Preserving connections. Okay. Makes sense.
And maybe most importantly, it directly hit the tau pathology. It reduced the buildup of that abnormal sticky tau. and it reduced its phosphorylation.
Phosphorylation, that's the chemical change that makes tau proteins clump together, right?
Exactly, it makes them pathological. And specifically, the source shows that blocking one of the orexin receptors, OXR2, seems to be the key step in reducing this bad tau phosphorylation. It interferes with a specific cellular pathway involving EMP and PKA.
Okay, so it's like disrupting the biochemical process that makes tau go bad.
You got it. It's intervening in that damaging cascade.
So let's pull this together. What does this all mean for us, for the field? This study is suggesting Lemborexant, because it targets orexin signaling, might actually break that destructive link, between the sleep-wake system, the tau buildup, and the inflammation.
Yeah, it seems to offer protection against the neurodegenerative process itself, potentially, not just masking the sleep symptom.
Which brings up a really interesting point, something for the science experience community to think about. We know sleep problems can be one of the earliest signs of these tau diseases, right? Sometimes years before memory loss really hits.
That's true. They can be a very early warning sign.
So could intervening early, maybe before there's significant sleep loss or a lot of tau buildup, could using something like Lemborexant that targets this specific orexin system.
Could it potentially slow things down, maybe even prevent or delay the progression of the disease before it really takes hold?
That's the provocative thought, isn't it?
It really is. Of course, it's complex. We have that sex difference finding. We need different models, studies in humans eventually. Lots more research needed.
Definitely.
Early days. But the idea, the possibility that targeting these sleep pathways could directly modify how the disease progresses, that's potentially a game changer.
Absolutely fascinating stuff. A great example of the kind of research we love to explore here. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive on the Sans Science Experience. Remember to like this video and subscribe to support the Sans Science Experience.